Let's see how many of the 25 best hip hop albums of 2025 according to Rolling Stone magazine. Let's see how many we are familiar with here on the morning show. It's the end of the year, and you know we love some list making nonsense. The 25 best hip hop albums of 2025, from comeback albums by established legends to more experimental offerings from the younger generation. 2025 was a marquee year for rap. Streaming numbers be damned. Oh, coming out against streaming, Rolling Stone. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, y'all should get with Bandcamp to do the next list. We're at the end of yet another year where commentators and fans speculated on the health of the rap world. Yeah, I guess that's what's gonna fucking happen. That shit is annoying. Why are we always talking about the health of the rap world? Probably because YouTube videos or articles proclaiming the death of hip hop probably get a lot of clicks. That's probably the main reason. That's probably the main reason why those things continue to happen. In October, it was reported for the first time in 35 years. Remember, it was reported by Billboard that there were no rap songs in the top 40 on Billboard. This spurred a familiar discourse around the current lack of rap superstars. JID, whose excellent album God Does Like Ugly was among the year's best, noted that the genre had simply gone back underground. Has it? I hear people saying that it's gonna do that, and I guess it's possible that it might do that. I don't think it has yet. I don't think it has yet, but we'll see. And that there would appear to be some evidence of that, where 2025 might not have had the kind of mainstream commercial rap hit we've grown accustomed to, especially from a certain rapper from Toronto. The year was as dynamic as we've seen in recent history. Dynamic just means that there's just a bunch of different shit happened, right? Like, it doesn't take much to be dynamic. Like, I wonder how many rap releases there were this year. I wonder if that's even at this point a quantifiable number, is the sheer gross number of rap releases that even came out. And I'm sure that it's going to be dynamic no matter what, because different types of people are releasing different types of rap music all the time. 2025 might not have had this main. Okay, no, we said that. For one, we saw the return of many of the genre's legends. Clipse released their first album. 16 years, Slick Rick returned to the mic with his signature vivid storytelling. New generation stars like Osama Sun and Che expanded the range of the rage rap universe. Rage rap universe! I like the rage rap universe. Even if I don't necessarily like that music, I like that label. There's a label for you. Rage rap universe. Introducing melodic textures that prove the sound is more than a fleeting trend. Earl Sweatshirt delivered one of the most lyrically compelling projects of the past several years, and Mike provided more evidence that he's among the leaders of today's indie rap scene. All of which is to say that if you were looking for chart-topping hits this year, you might have been disappointed. But if you were looking for good hip-hop music, 2025 is one of the best years to be a rap fan. Here are picks for the best hip-hop albums of the year. Here's a question. It said, if you were looking for chart-topping hits this year, you might have been disappointed. I bet if I asked if anyone here was looking for chart-topping rap hits, they'd probably say no. But I guess a better question would be, does anyone think it's important for there to be chart-topping rap hits? Like, does anybody think that that's the thing that needs to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then the alarm bell should ring? Oh, I am very curious if there are any real human beings for whom it matters. Like, human beings that are not that artist themselves. Are there people for whom it matters whether or not there's an album or a hit rap song at the top of the charts. But I guess there's nobody here either. I'm very curious for that insight to find if there's any people that exist who feel that way. But with that said, let's read. Number 25. Hey, look at that. Look at number 25 on the 25 best rappers of the year. We certainly heard this one. We certainly heard this one on the morning show. It is one Open Mike Eagle. Neighborhood Gods Unlimited is number 25 on the 25 best rap albums of Rolling Stone this year. Chicago-raised, Los Angeles-based rapper Open Mike Eagle has been making albums filled with observational comedy, self-deprecating wit, and quietly devastating tragedy for nearly 2 decades. Why are they always adding time? I feel like they always... I feel like every year I put out an album, the writers add 5 years to my career. I did not put out any albums 20 years ago. I didn't do that. Okay, 20 years ago was 2005. My debut album came out in 2010. That, I will remind you, mathematicians, is a 5-year difference. Stop trying to make me older than I already am. Jesus. 2 decades. Neighborhood Gods Unlimited marks a new creative peak that's partly due to excellent production from child actor Kenny Siegel and others who complement Mike's dark comedy television with softly insistent bops that fit him like a pair of comfortable shoes. Then there's his own charms, which include imagining himself as a shift worker who transforms at night into a Superman-like bedroom rapper. And that dark comedy television reminds me there's still, I think, a funny secret about that soundbite that nobody has figured out yet. And I need to think about how and when I should present this information, because I think it's so funny and I expected someone to have figured this out already. I expected somebody to have sleuthed the funny part of dark comedy television, but no, not yet. I'll come back to that later. 25 is me. Who had a good take? Rad Stash. Charts serve corporate interests and a large percentage of the middling masses who look to mainstream media. That's a lot of M's. For the takes do look to things like Billboard and Oscars for the music taste, but people who are actually into music to the degree that they be watching an indie rapper stream aren't part of that audience. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, how about this? Let me ask this question as an addendum. So, okay, nobody here is one of those people who care whether there's a chart-topping rap hit. Here's the question. Does anybody here know somebody who deeply cares about whether there's a chart-topping rap hit? You know plenty of people who aren't on this stream. But I am curious if anybody even knows a person. Okay. Absolutely. I think probably so. Okay, good. Your dad cares about charts from the 70s still? That's a long time to care about a chart. I know someone who might, but also kind of hate that guy. That's great. Not even my mom. Okay. I know one person, but they're weird. Okay, so at least these humans may exist. I would love to meet one day. I truly would. I would love to climb into the mind. Well, that's the thing. Good golly, miss. And I would say cares because I think that, like, if they just like that style of music, which is like a poppy sort of trap, whatever style of music, that's fine. I wonder if there are people who care that nothing that they are listening to is on top or popular to the point where it's on a Billboard chart. Like, if it would matter to them, if it would make them, oh, I can't listen to this. It's not on the charts. Like that type of shit. That's where my curiosity lies. Anyway, that's 25. Uh, 24. Cardi B. Speaking of Meg and Glorilla, I think Cardi B would probably slot near those pretty well. Now, I didn't listen to this album. I don't know if anybody here in the chat did. There did seem to be a lot of drama around the album. She was beefing with a lot of folks at the time. I think the shit with Nicki and her started again around then. Yeah, and OME to Cardi B is a hell of a pivot from 25 to 24. Curious what those discussions in the Rolling Stone offices were like, where they were like 25 over Mike Eagle, 24 Cardi B. Very interesting. Cardi B makes up for lost time. How much time was lost? I don't know how much time had it been since her last project. Massive comeback triumphs. She's got a long list of scores to settle. She got some shit to talk, enemies to crush, and crowns to claim. As always, she brings so much larger than life personality to the party. She could coast on charisma if she wanted, but Cardi B has been in the news lately for everything except her music. Interesting. So it's a trip to hear her finally get to cut loose and have fun. She's out to remind everyone she's looser, wilder, less predictable, and just plain funnier than anyone else in the game. As she declares, all my cars is chauffeured. I ain't touched door handles in years. Well, okay, all right. I guess this is a great way to keep yourself away from germs, Cardi B. So good job for that, protecting yourself and your children from germs. That's 24. 23. Aesop Rock's Black Hole Superette. Shout out to the homie Aesop Rock. I'm also privileged to be a part of this album. So we got Open Mike Eagle, Cardi B, and Aesop Rock. It is all happening. Shout out to Justin Hunt. At its best, Black Hole Superette elevates rap for rap's sake into an ennobled, I've never heard that word, Zen practices. Guests include Billy Woods and Elucid of Arm & Hammer on 1010 Wins, and Woods is a particularly game for Aesop Rock's lyrical shadow plays. He raps luckily or unluckily for me, my brain discrete analgesics. Pardon. So Be It is anchored by Open Mike Eagle sung chorus. Look at me getting a shout out at 23 as well. While Charlie Horse co-stars homeboy Sandman and Lupe Fiasco, the contrast between Lupe and Aesop Rock is notable. The former fights against injustice, whether in national politics or the music industry, though deftly rendered yet sentimental opuses like Last Year's Samurai. Through deftly rendered yet sentimental opuses. However, Aesop Rock finds joy in observing the strangeness of life, even as he remains aware of how brutal we can be toward one another. Interesting review, and that seemed to be more about the co-stars than the actual songs or Aesop Rock himself. But that's number 23. Infinite, Mobb Deep is 22. We did listen to this album here on the morning show as well. It was part of the Mass Appeal Legend Has It series. And will very likely be the final Mobb Deep album. Infinite represents the best case scenario for a posthumous album. Havoc and the Alchemist build each song from the late Prodigy's verses and hooks, arranging them atop production, and upholds the classic Mobb Deep aesthetic. His bars aren't stitched together, bottom barrel verses that often plague posthumous albums. Yeah, Prodigy's verses were quite fresh on here, and I mean that in the hip hop sense, and in the way that they didn't sound old, even though he passed away quite some time ago. Tracks like the Nas featured Pour the Henny and Clear Black Nights with Raekwon and Ghostface Killer are missives from beyond. True to that album title, Mobb Deep have made a boundless impact that will resonate as long as human history itself. Central C, Can't Rush Greatness. Now, Central C is an artist I was introduced through to my son too. My son had quite the drill phase. He's still sometimes in his drill phase. And I remember enjoying Central C. I think Central C's got a cool voice. And I like the way that British rappers approach the cadences of drill rap, sometimes better than American rappers do. There tends to be a musicality to their approach that feels it feels more informed by like Caribbean rhythms than sort of rushing through it like a lot of American rappers do. I will say the New York rappers have found some interesting pockets to hit drill with, but I still think the British dudes do it the best. But you know, I heard Central C before I was able to take in his appearance and his image and all of that, and that made me like him less. But that's just me and my old. You know what I'm saying? It's just me and my old. Proven reliable Gen Z hit maker. Okay. All right. Drake and Party Next Door, some sexy songs for you at 20. So I got to do the math now and say that, okay, Rolling Stones got some sexy songs for you at 5 spots better than me, 4 spots better than Aesop Rock, or 3. I can't do math. I don't think this was good. I think I only heard it once. Also, it must be said I am absolutely not in the demographic at all. And I don't remember. We've gone through a couple of best album of the year lists. I haven't seen anybody talk about this, so that's kind of interesting too. That Rolling Stone, I guess, felt like it was good when most people didn't. But okay, all right. Drake and Party Next Door. All right. Wait a minute. It's a savvy diversion given it was only a few weeks before its release that the entire country wondered if he'd get called a pedophile at the Super Bowl. That in mind, the LP is a clean, well-executed production of Drake's signature product. I don't know. I didn't think it was good. But I can't even remember if I sat and listened to the entire thing or not. But I remember from what I did hear, feeling like I felt like something was missing in terms of the quality of his assembly line of songs. Like, for all the talk of how much he writes his own stuff, or anyway, for all much talk of how much of his music he's responsible for, I felt that one thing that was always consistent was his level of quality of how the music was put together. And I didn't feel like this was put together with the same quality. I remember feeling that way. Like, I didn't know if he was working with a different engineer or different mastering house or what the difference was. But I did feel like this was disappointing in a quality sense. 19 Slick Rick's Victory, which unfortunately, so look, this was the first album in the Legend Has It series. And I was very excited here because I'm a big Slick Rick fan. I'm a real big Slick Rick fan. I remember being taken aback by how much of this production was Slick Rick doing his own production. I remember enjoying the skits where he's laying out his own accomplishments, because I feel like with a guy like this, that's not brought up enough. I feel like it comes from a place of us not really celebrating our rap legends enough. So he laid out his own accomplishments in a way that I thought was really dope. But then that damn Landlord song, like, that's the unfortunate thing. Is like, that's what I remember most from this album, is that damn Landlord song. Like, it just felt like a testament to how out of touch. I don't know if it's him or if it's that generation of MC. Like, it just felt so far removed from, like, it's like it reminded me of like the Democratic National Convention or something. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, it's this insular thing where people are just so out of touch with what people want on the ground. Because, like, even if you feel this way as a property owner, it's just such a bad idea to make a song from the perspective of a person chasing people down for rent. Like, that is that's not the people who were gonna be hearing this album, was a bunch of property owners. So it's unfortunate that that's what I remember most from this project. 18 is Osama Sun's Jump Out. This is Definitely the rage rap from my son's generation, the underground that he listens to. This kid Osama's son is probably the top of it. This is like the next up to the Playboy Cardi throne, very likely. I don't like him as much as some of the people that he works with. There's a collective called the Slime Crew, that are around a producer named TDF and another producer named Perk 40. And I think there's some actually really interesting shit being made by people like OK Mar and 3 and O Santa, that I think is kind of interesting. I think Osama's son is the least interesting one, but he's definitely the one that is being most invested in by a label, and I think is positioned to be like the next guy up for them. So I didn't peep this. My son peeped it. He said he thought it was cool. I don't know if it was his favorite stuff or not. I need to ask him again later today. 17, Saba No ID, from the private collection of Saba No ID. We did play this album on stream. There were a few songs that I remember saving from it, which reminds me we're going to have to do, we might start this as early as Friday, retroactively going through the year and sort of revisiting the albums that we played here on stream this year, the stuff that came out. This is a dope record. Saba's dope. No ID is dope. These are two Chicago. No ID is a legend. I've been hearing No ID beats since Common Sense albums in 1996. And it's stuff that he used to do with Doug Infinite back in the day. And Saba from the Save Money Collective that had Chance and No Name in it. So younger than me, but I've had the chance to do a couple shows with him through the years. And he's really, really dope. And I fuck with this album really tough. Lizzo, my old homie Lizzo. My face hurts from smiling. I gotta go, Tom. Thanks for the sub. I didn't know this album came out, so I'm not sure what the sound of it is. I'm not sure if this is more rappy, less poppy. She always had the ability and the talent to go in either direction. It was funny. I tell people sometimes, I went on tour with Lizzo back in the day. Me and Serengeti did as Kavanaugh. So imagine going to a show. I remember we played Sub T in Chicago. It was me and Getty as Kavanaugh opening up for Lizzo. And this was like 2015, 16, something like that. So we're doing this weird shit over my beats, and then Lizzo takes the stage after us. Crazy times. Definitely crazy times. But what I remember peeping about her that back then, it's 2016. We're playing Subterranean. She's drawing like 300, 400 people. But even then, in those clubs, she's performing with backup dancers and a wind machine. And it was like, oh yeah, she's preparing herself. You know how they say dress for the job you want? She was preparing herself to rock the biggest stages in the world. So shout out to Lizzo. Haven't peeped this yet. I'm gonna have to see what she's up to these days. Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo 2. This is Gibbs and Alchemist. And I still haven't heard this. I still haven't heard Alfredo 2. Each new Alchemist LP is greeted by a small but persistent audience clamoring for the legendary beatsmith to evolve from his palette of sleepy soft jazz and moody noir soundscape. Others correctly never grow tired of filet mignon. The second link up with Gibbs is predictably sumptuous, which is not a bad thing to be when Gibbs is still rapping with the intensity of someone with a gun to his head and the cool of someone who doesn't care. Gibbs' bitter edge cuts the smoky haze of Al's beats like a sip of cognac in a dimly lit back room. I should peep it. I didn't peep this, but I should. Mona Leo, who did The Body. I feel like in our Pitchfork 100 Best Songs list, we heard some Mona Leo. I don't remember what the song was, though. But I do think we peeped one of those. Houston rapper Mona Leo, who did The Body, feels like a meetup with cousins to celebrate life. Open the gates of pure ancestral veneration in verse, calling out the names of her deceased friends. And the theme of transformation and disappear with vivid storytelling on dignified Monoleo embodies an ethic rooted in her community and commitment to blackness as a way of life and art. That sounds ill. A testament to the idea that the right way may be fulfilled when we learn to blend our black livelihoods, combining unorthodox and the traditional. Shit, that's a great sell. That was the one with the girls on the street. That video. Okay, so I do remember enjoying that song. So I have to go back and peep this too. Jid, God does like ugly. And every time I see that title, I think of Atmosphere's is it God Loves Ugly? Is that Atmosphere? And then there is a OGC song called God Don't Like Ugly. So all of those pop into my head whenever I see this title. We did listen to this album on stream, and I believe I saved a couple of songs from it. Jid does this thing where he raps so good that I think it's a detriment to him, to be honest. Jid is so technical. So, okay, it's akin to this, but not exactly this. I've had conversations with All City Jimmy, formerly known as No Can Do. He used to host Low End Theory. And Low End Theory was a Patch Club every week with the best beats ever. And he would host and he would freestyle. The thing about Jimmy is that Jimmy is a perfect freestyler. He would hit every bar with precision and humor to the point where if you looked at the sea of people he was entertaining, many of them didn't know he was freestyling because it was so technically flawless. So there was a manner in which people couldn't even take in the difficulty of what they were hearing or experiencing because they didn't hear it as a human thing capable of flaws. Like they didn't hear him walking a tightrope. They just heard him executing brilliantly to the point where they wouldn't have known it was freestyle. Like they weren't leaned in like you lean in when you understand that somebody's making it up as they go along. And I think that comes into play with some of JID's stuff, to be honest. I think that the technicality of it is so advanced and so beyond what a lot of other people in his stratus are doing that people have a hard time finding a way in and having the songs have an impact on them because it's technically too flawless. And I don't like the answer to that is not be whack or no shit like that. But I'll say this. Sometimes I am more attracted listening wise to a thing that sounds a little bit broken. And I guess you could take with that what you will. 12, Clipping, the homies. Be on the road with them in February and did a bunch of shows with them this year. Dead Channel Sky. We of course check this out on stream as well, along with a couple of the videos that they dropped this year. Big fans of them. They are the brethren. On Dead Channel Sky, Clipping move away from their horrorcore past and venture into a cyberpunk landscape that feels like the glitching sounds of 56K modern wines that open the record Dominator. I feel like they said the exact same thing on Pitchfork. With the 56K modem thing and everything. Around here, we do wear our mirror shades evolution. That is true. Barrel forward with David Diggs' spellbinding flow. See, that's the thing. If you were to compare Clipping and Jid, let's compare and contrast based on what I was just talking about. David has the ability to be technically perfect. And he is oftentimes technically flawless. But I think the balance of that in Clipping is that the beats have a brokenness. The beats are, there's an element of them. It's not, I mean, it's not that they are always broken, but they are not always perfect. Like there's a rawness to the beats. There's like something almost like pushing you away a little bit about the beats, and I think that creates a great balance to what David does on the mic. I mean, also the stories that David tends to be telling they seem to be more inviting anyway. G. Ross, this reminds me of what Miles Davis said about Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker in his autobiography. I wonder what that is. Chaos. Yes, they're more chaotic in a way that I think creates a great balance with David's technical brilliance. And I feel like Jid's technical brilliance goes with productions that are also very technically sound in a way that, like, I don't know, it can wash over people's heads sometimes. It cannot land with them emotionally sometimes. And that's all I got to say about that. 11, Chance the Rapper Starline. It's a good comeback album. We heard it on stream. There's a couple songs I like from it a lot. Definitely better than the My Wife album. It didn't do a lot for me in the way that it did for a lot of other people I know. A lot of other people, this is their album of the year. A lot of other people, this is the one that should win all the Grammys, and all of that. And I do think I think it's good. I think it's solid. But, you know, again, I'm not necessarily in the demographic for what it was he's trying to do on this one. But it was very well put together. Tyler, the Creator, Don't Tap the Glass. You know, when we were doing the Pitchfork 100 Best Songs, we ended up revisiting one of the songs from here. I think we played this on stream, but that's the kind of year this was. I don't even remember if we played it on stream. I feel like I heard it. Or, you know what? Actually, we might not have, because I might have been on tour when Don't Tap the Glass came out. I can't remember. And he put this one out so close after his last one that in my mind it's hard to draw a distinction. I just know that this one was more dancey. Did we play it on stream? I don't remember if we did. Tyler always makes great projects, though. He has great art direction, great production. His approach is awesome. I always fuck with Tyler, even if the music doesn't sit with me a lot after listening to the album. I just fuck with what he does. I fuck with the intentions of what he does all the time. 9, Che, Rest in Bass. So I haven't heard much Che. Che is a younger dude who's in that Osama Sun generation. He might be a tad older than them. And I hear about him more than I hear his music. I don't really know that much about it. He is also in that rage rap conversation that they were talking about earlier in this article. And I'm too unfamiliar to really speak on it very much. But he is somebody who you will probably hear more about. I think he's another one of those younger post Cardi cats that are signed to a big label, and there's a lot of investment in him. So we will hear more from Che going forward. Little Simz Lotus. I didn't hear this album, and I don't know when it came out, so I'm not sure if this is something that happened while I was on the road. Cause I was just completely out of, like, this was just completely off my radar. We've played some Little Simz songs here on the show before. But this album, I just completely missed it. So this is definitely one I'm going to have to go back and peep. British rapper Little Simz' 6th album, the first after a public split with longtime producer Inflow. Feels more like living in her skin than any project she's done before. All of the album's instrumentals are crisp, careful, and raw. Crisp, careful, and raw is an interesting combination of adjectives. Whether they're the rugged rock of Thief and Flood, the jazzy R&B of Lonely and Free, the softly orchestral lament of Hallow, or the vintage Afrobeat of Lion. And her hard-earned sense of self-worth courses through every song in the aftermath of an imploded childhood friendship. Lotus is a rigorous ode to the trauma and wisdom of truly growing up. Yeah, I got to peep. Because Lil Simz is dope. 7, Dave. Dave, I believe, is another British rapper. I don't know anything about him really though. It could be possible that I heard him when I was here in Central C when my son was playing shit back in his British drill era. The Boy Who Played Harp, released in October, presents an introspective sound that blends gospel-inflected UK rap with elements of Afrobeat and R&B. Mostly self-produced under his, oh, I thought that said Satan alias, Santon alias. The 10-track record leans on sparse piano lines, fluid chords, and subtle percussion to build a contemplative, almost devotional atmosphere. Okay. That's a good sell. It's definitely a good sell. Yeah, you're right, Timmy. What up? Number 7, Video Dave, Old Chicago Stadium. Old Chicago Stadiums. 6, Mike's Showbiz. And I think we heard 2 Mike projects this year because we heard this one and we also heard the one with Tony, I forget his name, Tony Seltzer. I like a bunch of songs on this Mike Showbiz album. There's a few joints I have saved on there that I come back to all the time. I like this project a lot. Matter of fact, it was hearing this album that made me go like a bunch of the beat interludes that are on Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. I felt inspired to make after hearing the beats that were on this album because they just gave me they gave me an injection of a little bit of that old school MF Doom. I'm gonna sample wherever the fuck I want to sample verve, that vigor. And I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go make some beats. And some of those became the interlude beats on Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. Enjoyed this album a lot. When we talk about the albums that we played here on stream this year, I'm going to have a good time revisiting this one. 5 is Woods is Gollywog. Shout out to Woods. This is a breakout album from him. One really notable thing about this album, and I talked to him about this too, because me and him have had a bunch of conversations back and forth when we're in the middle of making projects. For instance, when I was making a component system with the auto reverse, he was in the middle of making Haram with him and Elucid and Alchemist. And he was saying how wild it was to him that I continued to make projects with so many different producers because he was on a run, especially then. Like, it'd be, that album with Alchemist, Maps with Kenny Seagulls, this with Preservation. He always tended to work with one producer, but on Gollywog, he really flexed it and did the thing. Like, there's beats from all sorts of people on here. There's Kenny Seagull on here. There's Alchemist on here. There's LP got a beat on here. And I really like that. I like the flexibility that gives him as an artist to be able to put together a project that has these different sorts of sounds. And this is a fucking sick ass album. The Misery joint, like I've told y'all, I've seen it turn rooms upside down. I've seen people throw babies in the air when that beat come on at one of his shows. And he got a joint on here, Make No Mistake. I come back to that shit all the time. That shit is so ill to me. It's like this little subtle, almost like danceable joint. He just talking his shit on. I fuck with that song a lot. 4, Jim Legacy, Black British Music. So we either got one of these off of Discord Mountain or this was in the Pitchfork Best 100 Songs of 2025 thing. So I can't remember. I know I was exposed to this artist recently. I can't remember what the vehicle was though, and I don't even really remember if I liked the song that much. But I might have to get hip because maybe I did like it. I just don't remember. As a writer, the UK-based musician Jim Legacy talents line his nimble sense of songcraft. Take the cheekily titled "I Just Banged a Snooze in Canada Water" from his mixtape Black British Music. He's effectively pumping himself up in the mirror, growling the hook, "I can't let them do me like they did me as a kid." That's hard. Which itself manages to carry within it a world of meaning. That truly does. That hits hard just reading that. Black British Music, succeeds in expressing something deeply personal. The sound of hospital vital monitors on album closer Brief. The flurry of samples throughout the record strikes a singular emotional frequency. Like Nas's Illmatic, Black British music paints a portrait of a young artist as informed by their heart as their surroundings, while Legacy feels like there's always going to be mud, as he says on Context. His latest mixtape is remarkably hopeful. I got to check it out. Great sell job, Rolling Stone. 3, Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. Probably, I mean, I feel like it hasn't even been out that long, but like one of the stronger projects for me that came out near the close of the year. Was it fall? I think it was fall, right? Earl Sweatshirt become known for rhyming over hushed tones and melancholy production. You know, I think there's a lot being made of his seemingly more positive attitude on this album, but what really struck me about it, and especially if you look at that Tourmaline single, I think it's about the musicality that he's embraced. And in Tourmaline, it's easy to see because he's singing a hook, but then even in just a lot of the songs on this album, if you listen to the verses, there's a subtle melodicness of his approach that I feel like he's embracing more and more, and I really fuck with that. I really fuck with that a ton. And I hope he goes more and more in that direction. Because I think he's a little bit underrated as a songwriter. And I think the more he embraces his sense of melody, we'll get songs from him that make his songwriting ability that much more apparent. 2 is Cardi's music, which I know I heard the Kendrick songs. I can't remember if I heard much more. I'm not a big Cardi fan. I don't like the baby voice shit, and that seems to be a lot of his calling card. I know for the youth, he's a touchstone. He's one of the great artists of one of the great influences of this generation. It don't really do it for me. It just don't really do it for me. And I will, I've tried to get it, and there's a couple of songs that I've liked. Like I like when him and Uzi get together on shit, but not really a fan, and this one didn't do it for me either. I found it confusing that Kendrick was on it, and I thought it was funny too how he released it on the last day he had. If he had waited another day, he would have had to have refunded all of the money, all of the pre-order money he had taken, because he had taken pre-order money like some ungodly amount of time before the album came out. But legally, if he had waited one more day, he would have had to have paid back all of the pre-order money. And it just happened to come out on that last day. So I thought that was fucking hilarious. But also, yeah, just not, didn't do much for me. Number 1, a lot of people's number 1. Clipse has let God sort him out. I will never, or one day, I'll be able to separate the thoughts that I had about this album going into it from my experience listening to it. We did hear it on stream. I thought it was good. It didn't sit with me, affect me, strike me, land with me like it obviously has with a lot of other people. I love them as rappers. Pharrell's obviously incredible. Psychologically, I had to really deal with the fact that my album dropped the same day as theirs. Like that created an experience for me of the day that was very repulsive to this project based on that. I do feel like by the time I actually listened to it, I'd largely processed a lot of that shit and was able to sit with it. But it still, even with that, it didn't connect with me. Even the way that some of their older shit has, or some of Pusha T's solo shit has. It didn't necessarily connect with me. I thought the rollout, as brilliant as the rollout is, I thought a lot of it was very gimmicky, and I didn't like it, especially given I was trying to roll out a project at the same time. So admittedly, a lot of personal bias involved in my takeaways from this album, but It obviously is not bad in any kind of way. And I think deserving of a lot of praise that it gets, even if it didn't necessarily connect with me to that degree. And that is Rolling Stones 25 best hip hop albums. You got a list with me and Cardi B and Che and Clipse and Aesop Rock and Woods. It's quite the eclectic group, Rolling Stones. So shout out to Rolling Stones. Like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.